Well, there you are. Again. Charlie Greer podcast. I do this every day. Today, getting fired from the Sonny and Cher movie. Yeah. Not good. So, I moved to LA in 1998. I'd moved from St. Louis. Um, I'm an artist under that umbrella. I'm a musician, painter, actor, writer, all that. I should say. So, excuse me, I put some lip gloss on because it's cold here where I'm at. My lips get dry. So yeah, I moved there and I was already in the guild. Or was I? No, okay. I was eligible for the Screen Actors Guild. That's the union that the actors are in. And I'd done a commercial in St. Louis, a BC Powder commercial, but it cost a lot to get in the union. So I hadn't joined yet. So I get there, but I was eligible so I could audition for union stuff. Because if you're non-union, unless they really like you or you're the greatest actor, you can't go up for union stuff. Most of the good is union. It's Screen Actors Guild. A lot of people don't even get in the guild. It's tough. So anyway, I'm there. It's like 1998. Um, I get it. I get it. The drummer. I was the drummer in the beat goes. I lied. I mean, technically, I didn't lie. I know a little bit of drum, but I'm not. I'm a singer, guitarist. I can play bass, but drums is a little different thing. I can play like one beat, like I can fit, but not. I'm not a drummer. But I thought, you know what? I know enough. I can fake it. So like, can you play drum? Yes, of course. So I get the role. You have to go. Then once you get hired, then you have to. They tell you, okay, these dates and dates, you got to go to wardrobe, um, and get fitted. You got to go to a fitting. Where it was back. This is back in like the movie was the beginning of the movie shot like Sonny and Cher's like 60, 61 when they first came out. So it's all these weird 60s clothes. They're like, hey, you need a haircut. We'll cut, you'll get a haircut on the set. I was okay, cool. But you get paid. It's called bumps. So every time you have to like get your hair cut, exposed to water, if you smoke on camera, this, that, and the other, you get extra money. So I was happy, man. I was like, oh my God. And my roommate and everybody's like, oh wow, you got like, it's a good break. Even though you're the drummer, it's a small role. But considering it's tough just to get an audition. I mean, my roommate at the time had never even had an audition. He'd never had an agent. I studied acting. I was always doing little short films when I was a kid or this, that, and the other. And then I studied acting and art and acting in college. And when I was in St. Louis, I studied at COCA, Center of Contemporary Arts. So I started to learn the craft. So yeah, I got the gig for the drummer. So you get there. There was a day of rehearsal. They had us all like you had to meet the band because I was a drummer of the band. Because Sonny and Cher used to have a band. Actually, they were called Caesar and Cleo. In the beginning of the movie, they were called Caesar and Cleo. They changed their name to Sonny and Cher, like in real life. In real life, they were called Caesar and Cleo. Then. So we get there, and you have continuity people. So I had a continuity drum person, and he comes up to me, and first right off his bat, he goes, "You're not a drummer. You lied about this, right?" And I go, "Well, yeah." And he goes, "I would have too, And it was a click track, this little like box beside me, and then they had these rubber, things on the drums so you couldn't hear it, and then they're going to sync that up because you couldn't be like playing the drum. And it was a little drum set. I mean, it wasn't that big. So we start shooting, and we started shooting at I think the first scenes were at the Hollywood bowling lanes, which used to be on Santa Monica. Awesome. I love that place. That's where they shot The Big Lebowski. That's where they shot a bunch of stuff. And I lived right around the corner. One of the reasons I liked it because it was close to where I was at. A lot of cool people there. Beers were $2, like bottled beers. They let you smoke. There was a smoking section, and they had this jukebox, and all they played was Iron Maiden and Judas Priest. I don't know why, but I thought that was so cool. That's like a hipster thing to do. All you listen to is Iron Maiden and Judas Priest, and they're probably not even fans of Iron Maiden and Judas Priest. This is something silly to do. Nobody do, so they think it's cool. So we're shooting. I love the stars of I forgot the name of these actors, but who played Cher, who played Sonny. Cool. Everybody there was super cool. Wardrobe, this, that, and the other. And then there's the union guys that have like the generators and the big trucks and everything. And I honestly usually would hang out with them if I had some downtime. You have a lot of downtime. So it was going great. We're shooting like it was like Monday through Friday they would shoot, making the most money I've ever made up until then, or close to it. And again, they're treating you all the food. And since I'm union, I can go to the, usually they'll build like a tent that's full of like, it's just awesome. Then you have the non-union people, like the non-union extras. And man, they treat them horrible. They'll give them like, I've seen where they give them a big industrial tub of peanut butter and a big industrial tub of Twizzlers. You go like, dude, what are you doing there? They think it's fun. It's like, man, what are they going to dip the Twizzlers in the peanut butter? And some people were. Yeah, you don't want to be a non-union extra. So everything's going fine. Then we moved over to Paramount. It's a studio. And across the street from Paramount, it's this old recording studio. I mean, it's small and old. And they would literally do acetate recordings where it's like a, piece of acetate. They literally burn the master and then they have to make copies of it. So we did a scene there. Again, we were, it was just the band. There was like, what, 3 of us in the band and Sonny and Cher. So the stars of the movie plus, we were like low level, but we kind of bonded. And we actually named ourselves the Earth Tones because we're all in like these mustard yellows and brown, I think it's the early 60s. And I had a funny haircut. You can look it up. It's called The Beat Goes On, Sonny and Cher. There's different versions of it because it was like a mini series. It was supposed to be like 3 nights. The last time I watched it on YouTube, like the hour movie or 2-hour movie, they edited a bunch out. You can barely see them. So we're doing great. Long hours. I mean, you're working like sometimes like 14, 16 hours. You get there at like 5 in the morning. You might leave at like 11 midnight. And you're stuck over day after day. Then you get the weekends off. Again, you move to LA, it's tough out there, man. There's millions of people, and I had just gotten there and I got this role. Like, hey, I mean, to me, it was all good. So we shot at the Paramount. Then we went back to the bowling lanes. And we're there. It's like it's about like 6 or 7. The sun's about to go down. I was headed to wardrobe because they were going to refit me because now they're going in time, so I was going to have a different haircut because supposedly in real life, that band that Sonny and Cher had been with them for a while. So they're like, hey, why change? Let's go with the script. You're the same guy. And as I left the bowling alley, I saw that this dude pulled up, and I don't know if he was in like a convertible Ferrari, some really nice car, tops down. He is pissed. He's an older dude. He's got gray hair. He's literally screaming, is he pulling it? Like, what the fuck? And people are running. Now, at the time, I didn't know who he was. Later on, I saw him. I've seen him on, well, he's dead now. But he was on Entertainment Tonight back in the day. He was like the head of NBC or something, some kind of executive. And I remember the last thing I heard him like scream was, I'm going to shake things up here. And it's like, what the fuck? Why would he be that mad and crazed? He's driving that nice car. Obviously, he's a million. Huh? And the people are like, oh my God, everybody's just running. And there's these star wagons, they call it. And it's like, wardrobe and this and that, and whatever. So I went into wardrobe and there's like 4 seats and we're in there. And one of the wardrobe people or one of the line producers come in and said, look, man, lay low. So-and-so's here. He's firing people, man. He's all in a fit. You can't go up and talk to this guy. He won't, you guys should be cool. Just heads up. You see him, just put your head down, run. And I was like, well, shit. I mean, why would he have anything to do with me? I mean, I don't know huh? So I'm at the chair, like nearest to the door. Okay. And he barges in. It's like he slam. He opens, wow, and everybody stops, and they're fitting me for a wig. Who's he? And he points right. I'm the closest one. Who's he? What's going on here? And like, oh, this is Charles Greer, actor. He's the drummer of the movie. So we're going in time. So we got to refit him for this longer hair wig No, we're shaking things up. Fired. And she's like, well, no, it's in the script. He's in the union. I don't give a damn what that say. You're all fired. You know what? Like this fired us all. I mean, I'm in the union, man. You can't be not to this dude. And he left, and I could hear him going from trail. It was just like, what is this dude doing? And they're like, hang tight, he might be angry, this, that, and the other. They're like, we'll let you know by tomorrow. You should. Well, he fired us. This is telling how many people he fired. And they were like, he's known for this. He'll be in a bad mood, hungover, whatever what his deal was. And just show up and sabotage it all. And I'm talking about a lot of money. Every day it costs, man, how much a day to then you got to recash, you got to close stuff down, it's a thing. I heard he even fired the 2 stars, but then he settled down and they brought him back. But he fired all the he just fired me and all the rest of the band and the wardrobe, everybody. So they had to shut down production. They had to recast. Then you had to get new permits and this, then it's a mess. People in power, man. He didn't give a shit. Then I would see again. I've seen him on, and he's all and it's like wood paneled, nice Hollywood executive office, and I'm the head of the NBC or whatever it was. That's just shit. I'm like, that's that dude. He's acting nice, but But I heard a few years back he passed. So I'm fired, and but when I get home, I was so exhausted and kind of and my roommate's like, hey man, you got a bunch of mail. Your checks are coming in. So I'd worked on that for maybe 3 or 4 weeks. And then I forgot the system they pay you. It's called something. They send you the checks. And I couldn't believe it. I mean, I knew that I was making it, but shit, it was like, oh my God, like party. So I just went and deposited those checks. How much cash can I get advance on these checks? Well, they got to clear. We can get you so much. But see, that's the thing. You're doing your best. A bunch of us. I don't know how many people were on set. I'm talking about had to be hundreds, man. Because this is it's NBC. Like there's all the trucks and union guys, and this, that, set designers and wardrobe, and just for some dude to pull up. And I guess he shook things up. So here's the thing. When we first started shooting, people were like, Cher's on the set, because she was behind this at first. She was like, endorsed by Cher or whatever. And I didn't know much about Cher. I mean, I got You Babe, Baby Don't Go. I knew some Sonny and Cher. I grew up in the 70s. I remember their show, but I wasn't a Cher fan. And there's like Cher devotees, and you see them, and you're just like, oh my God, what the? So like, Cher's on this set, Cher's on the set. And I was just like, yeah, whatever, And then they're like, here she comes. So I hear, this rumbling. I look behind me, and here's the security. There's Cher. And it was just like, oh my God, like, it kind of blew my mind. I was starstruck. Like Cher was like, it almost like she was glowing or something. Like, well, my God, that's Cher. And back then she's old. I mean, how old is she now? I was what? But she just kind of did the walkthrough and how you doing? Tell them, okay, great job. She's shaking everybody's hand. She's okay. And I was just going, Cher. I'd never had that happen. Again, I didn't give a shit about Cher. Something about her, people have this spark, this charisma, whatever it is. She had it. Because I was just like, damn, Cher. So Cher hears about this and is pissed. Like, what would you, what? So she backs out of it. I think she was supposed to be in it. I think she was going to have like play her mother, like in real life or something like that. But she's like, man, fuck you. Why would you do, how dare you, And this also shook up this stuff in this guy's life. He got, I don't know how long it took, but you can't do that. Yeah, you're the executive, but there's always people above you. You know what I'm saying? You're going to be like, oh, what? How much money you lost us? People know this. And at the time, They were talking about it. It might even been on Entertainment Tonight or whoever the whatever. E dude shows up in a rant and rave, just firing people. Narcissist, sociopath that can just show up and know that he's hurting people's lives, their financial lives, and just everything, their emotional whatever, and it's just being a rave, and you can't talk to him, you can't reach him. It's gonna happen. He's firing everybody. So she backed down. She was like, "Oh yeah, well fuck you." And I heard this. I'd already talked. I mean, I got to know like wardrobe people, set designers, union dudes, like the crew. And they call me like, "Yeah, man, Cher's backed up too. I don't know if I want to do this." And that's another thing. People are like, "Man, screw him. I'm in the. I got another job lined up." So it took them time. They messed up. That's why the many. It wasn't that. I mean, it was magical. It was again. It didn't like a award-winning show, but man, it was a lot of fun. It's Sonny and Cher. It's Sunny LA. We're doing, and this dude just to show up and just piss on it all. Just be like, screw all y'all. That didn't last. Right after that, he was down. I mean, they kept him around. He was but he wasn't you can't do that. See, a narcissist, a sociopath, they don't have any like foresight. It's just, I got that, fulfill this diabolical need that he's probably getting off on. Because when you're that angry, your body releases like lactic acid. Most people feel creepy, weird. They don't like it. Well, there's people that love that. That's what they do. Like once a week, they got to have that rage. Maybe that's how he got ahead in life, just scaring people and firing and For one, it kills the artistic spirit, meaning you're an artist, you're creating, you're an actor. You need to kind of cool. Man, when people are angry, it's hard to work. There's a lot of that. People behind the scenes you never know that are just grumpy and, snapping at you for no reason. That's why you hear like people don't want to talk to people or they just want to hang up with them because it's this. They don't know who's going to snap, The last movie I worked on, there was a crew person and I was outside having a break and I was near holding, which is like the food and all that stuff. And they had beer. You could anything you want. And I like to introduce myself. And since she was like such close proximity to me, and he was right there, I'm not going to, I was like, "Hey man, I'm Charles. I'm in the movie. What's your name?" And she snapped and I already told her. What? So I went to the producer and the director. I was like, "Yo, man, who is she?" "Oh, she's never worked in a movie. This is her first time. I don't know why she's acting." Well, get rid of her. You can't have people around like that. Act like they're running the show and they've never even had any experience. So yeah, Cher quits, doesn't endorse it. And it was a big thing. And so people call me, they're like, "Hey, this isn't coming directly from Cher, but she wants to get the word out. I mean, she's sorry." She thought she was watching the dailies. The dailies are like what every day they see what we filmed. And that's why she was there that day I saw her. She was like, "Oh my God, this is great." And she like spread the word, "Man, I'm sorry to the actors that like this happened. It had nothing to do with me." Like she was like, "Look, I mean, I got calls, multiple people like, hey, it's not, we're all frustrated. People have quit, this, that, and the other, the line producers, crew, they don't want to deal with this. Why should they go back? Well, next week will he show up?" And he hadn't been on the set for like those 3 or 4 weeks I was working. I think it was like 4 weeks. I think I worked like 30 days on the movie or the TV series, whatever the fuck it was. And yeah, he would shake it up. Everyone said that. Who does that? That's not productive. So I get, I thought I was going to be working on this for much longer, but hey, I got that 30 days. I got a lump of money. Everybody around me, my neighbors, everybody was somebody. I mean, meaning trying to be anyways. Wardrobe people, actors, actresses, set designers. This on my street I lived. I lived on June Street, right off, was it Fountain? I think so. Pardon me, in the heart of Hollywood, 2 blocks from Sunset Sound, like the legendary studio. And we were the last house right beside Valentino Park, which had a bust of Valentino, the old silent film. So you're right there in Hollywood, 2 blocks off of Sunset. between Sunset and Fountain. I mean, that's great. It'd be so expensive now to live there. And we had a 2-bedroom house, me and my roommate. A lot of fun. Some of the best times of my life. So it's like, hey, I got this money. Everybody, even people that I didn't really talk to that much, like there was a crowd at my in front of my house. Are you gonna have a party? I was like, you know what? Maybe I should have a party. Yeah. And they were like, oh, we'll bring this. And I was like, man, I'm gonna do this right. I got a little bit of money. Let's go to Rock and Roll Ralph's. Rock and Roll Ralph's was the Ralph's on Sunset, and let's do it up. Got a little bit of green, and so I did. I was like, what's the most expensive cool beer that I could buy? And a bunch of it. So it was like this raspberry beer, kind of, I don't know, IPA, who knows? I want it all, and I did. We had like a blowout. Matter of fact, it lasted for a couple days. It was good times. I got to know people. Directly across the street from us was Nicolas Cage's baby mama, right? She had a son with Nicolas Cage. And I'd seen Nicolas pull up and get his kid or drop him off. I'd seen, but I'm not going to go over there like, hey, Nicolas Cage. And she was kind of not standoffish, but you know what I mean? She had, and I forgot, I think she was a wardrobe person. She made wardrobe. So she's like, hey, her and I became friends. We used to go to the Pasadena flea market every month, So I met her, and just good times, just again, times of my life. You work hard, it's hard to get in the union. My roommate at the time, he was an actor. It was tough for him. He didn't study. He'd never had, he didn't have any like a good resume for his headshot. He did, I've studied at college. I studied at COCA and Center of Contemporary Arts in St. Louis. And my acting coach she was an actress that was kind of known. She did part, and so that he was just like, damn, he knows how hard it is. He wasn't in the union. He was non-union. He wouldn't do extra work because if you're known as an extra, like you could make back then probably 60 to 100 a day, probably every day doing extra work. But man, it's long hours. They treat you like shit. You got to sit on the ground. They don't feed you well. So you don't want to be known. It's a small community. You would think it is. It gets out. So you don't want to be known as an extra. You do not want to be doing extra work. So it was tough for him. Just to get auditions, you have to have an agent. You just can't they give you out the breakdowns and you can submit yourself. But man, there's everybody. And back then it was headshots with your resume stapled on the back. So the front was your headshot, flip it over, you got your resume. Stacks before computers. I mean, there was computers in 98, but now they hadn't got it in Hollywood. It was just still headshots. Tough, brutal. You move out there, you're spending all your money. You got a dream. You got to stick with it. Sometimes it takes forever. I was listening to a interview with Bob Saget the other night, and he said it took him 10 years before he got his break. Living in Hollywood, just struggling, doing stand-up. Nobody knows who he is. He's kind of goofy, tall, but he did well for himself. And right about that time, it's weird how things happen because you start meeting people. I met set people, this, that, and the other. And then I was asked, or we were asked, my roommate and I forgot actually it might have been someone I knew from the set, but it was like, hey, we'll pay you $700 a day if you'll let us use your house for this like D-list movie. What's his name? Jan Michael Vincent. He was a big star like in the 70s and into the 80s, but by then but we're like $700 a day. That's $350 each, 3 days. Yeah, we'll do it. And so here comes the trucks, and here comes the set people, and this, that, and the other. And I mean, it was awesome making that kind of money because back then, $350. I think my rent was only $350. Now it would be outrageous, but rent hadn't really exploded. It was more expensive than other places, but like when I left St. Louis, my rent was $250. When I got to Hollywood, it was only $100 more. You could still kind of, And Jan Michael Vick, like, hey, you want to meet Jan? Yeah, shit. I wasn't prepared though to see this guy, man. He was, I shouldn't say this, but he was haggard up. He had a little leather pouch of his dope, whatever he was doing. And they're like, oh, he's in his holding room. And I'm like, well, that's my bedroom. I went in, man, he trashed it. He was cool. Hey. So I go, yeah, this is my bedroom. Oh, sorry, man. He would just like put cigarettes out on the carpet. It was just destroyed, kind of. But I was making money, and the place was kind of run down anyway, so who cared? He looked rough. And when I say rough, and I mean like destroyed, and I mean like just sitting around, we found syringes and like, oh, it was gross. But maybe by then he just, I mean, shit, you just don't know. I mean, what he went through. But obviously he went through all his money and didn't have those big mansions anymore. And they were also saying like, yeah, we'll get you, maybe we can put you in the movie. We can. I'm union. Well, see, because you can get a waiver from the union. I don't want to do that. You don't want to be known for something like, we don't be looking too desperate. You don't want to be, well, see, now you don't want to be, you want to attract, but good times. I mean, I was like, what, 27 in 1998? And my friends around weren't doing that well, and I also let people borrow money and, just here I am with this big lump of money. Well, for me, it was a big lump of money. Anybody else, they'd probably been, that's what I'd spent a month, my overhead was low. Then I could, this was my mistake. I was so tired. We'd thrown that party. I actually got offered another role. I forgot what it was. But I was like, again, working like 30 days straight and it's like 16-hour days. I was like, I just need a little. And the agent was like, look, man, you don't want to do this. You know how much time I've already worked on you? I submitted. You don't want to. And I should have I was like, man, just another day or two. No, you got to. So like, I can't do it. And honestly, I might have not have been able to. I was, dehydrated and just worn down. But I should have. I mean, but that little bit of money, hell, I left all that for. Matter of fact, I left that house and got my own place. I'd rather live alone, so I moved across the street from Paramount. I got my own 1-bedroom apartment, and I really didn't have to work. I had enough money I could live, but I did. I did other things eventually. I joined the Screen Actors Guild. I was eligible, but then you had to pay. I think it was like $1,500 back then, or $2,000 to join. Or had I already joined? Anyways, right around that time, I might have took that money and joined. But anyway, good times. That kind of got me up to another step or whatever you want to call it. And people know, like your friends kind of treat you different. Like, hey, you've got to, you're invited to parties and I'd done I forgot what it was called. And it was a buyout where they're like, hey, do you want to, it's one day's work. We just need, was it That's Incredible or something like that? Or Guinness Book of World Records, one of those shows. What I didn't know, they're like, hey, we need one day. It's a buyout. We'll pay you like $1,000. Yeah, okay. Whatever the union was back then, $1,250. I don't know. And then it was in this, big studio with all the lights and this, that, and the other, and the host. I forgot his name. And just reactions. So they had like 5 of us in these chairs, and they'd have the camera in front of you, like, okay, you're laughing. All right, now you're excited. Now you're disgusted. Now you're, whatever. And they're doing reactions. And I did it, okay, whatever. It's a buyout, meaning you're not going to get any more money from that. And then went about my day, basically forgot about it. And then I got a call like, dude, you're on that intro for like Guinness Book of World Records. Like, what? Like, yeah, turn it on, and I missed it. So I was like, I'll watch it next time. But what happened was it was the intro to the TV show. So they show like a guy swallowing a sword and they cut to me. I'm not even there in the audience. I'm just, this reactions, and they edit that in, studio magic, Hollywood. And that ran for years. I was like, oh my God. And people would recognize me from that. And I was like, man, I don't want to be recognized for, you do what you got to do. You tell me how many times I was in the grocery store or somewhere at a bar, like, yeah, you're that dude from Good. Oh, shit. And if I'd have gotten residuals, it would have been good. I'd been paid. No, it was a buyout. You live and learn. You could probably see that too. I think it's a Guinness Book of World Records, the intro, and it's. But most of the stuff I did, for one, was never even finished. Two, I did a lot of like UCLA, USC kind of student films. And we're not just talking about any student. These people are like going to be the next Spielberg. It's expensive to go to those schools. You got to be talented. I did a bunch of those. One of them won like the Bel Air Film Festival. A couple of them won, but one of them won the Bel Air Film Festival. I did a pilot with John Farley, who's Chris Farley's brother, called Bilbo the Clown. And if you see it might still be on YouTube, Bilbo the Clown, the trailer for that. Anything that you see John up front, it's him. And then from my back, that's me, because they had to do some pickup shots and they couldn't afford John, so they hired me. They didn't pay me the rest of the money and I didn't fit in the suit that well. I was bigger, but they're like, oh, from behind nobody could tell. Yeah, right. And when I'm standing there and like releasing the balloons from behind, that's me. So they'll cut between like John and me. Again, it's just stupid, and they owe me money. And that was like a universal pilot. And what they'll do is they'll shoot all these pilots, hoping that they're like a 25-minute pilot, hopefully that they'll be picked up for like TV or cable, whatever. It wasn't. And they were kind of weird. Again, they owe me money. I'll never see. But yeah, good times. Again, I was full of like wanderlust. I wanted to go out and have fun. I wanted to do something. I didn't want to be a 9-to-5. I'm an artist. I'm a creative people. There's firemen. There's police officers. There's priests. Well, I'm an artist. That's what I want to do. Granted, once I found out what was really going on, oh my God, you kind of like, I wish I'd done something else. But I don't regret anything. I had so much fun. I lived a ton of life. I can't remember most of it, but I know I had a great time. Like, if you want to support the channel, the description, it's in the description, Zelle. So if you want to support the channel, it's in Zelle. Also, please like, share, subscribe. I do this every day. I'll be back tomorrow, ranting and raving about something. But I love y'all. Be blessed. Cheers.